And actually, Miss Jenna seems to be correct. It was very easy to find the engine room. You literally walked down a few stairs, old signs pointed to the engine room, and it seems quite central. The stairwells are dark and cold, made of steel, paint peeling from the walls, and everything is dripping with moisture. The sound of the storm outside is very audible inside this old ship. Amid the clamour and noise, your flashlights cast shadows about the ship. But again, as I said, very easy to find the engine room, just a few straight corridors. You're currently standing just about to enter the engine room when Mr. Katz takes that smell, yes, it's identical to the bathroom.
Is there any oil or wastewater around?
All over the place.
I'm going to take out the same tissue that I folded into my bag, and I'm going to take the opposite corner to the one that I wiped my hand with, and just dip it, and then hold it up underneath sort of the flashlight and show Katz, obviously realising that he's, smelling the air and he's seeing that recognition in his eyes. I'll show him, what I've just done. I know you are not someone who appreciates coincidence, but there's more to this.
Yeah, Joshua just looks at her and goes, coincidence is one thing. There's something more going on here. If you're insinuating that this is in fact the same oil.
I am not an investigator, but I am someone who appreciates it's hard to get answers out of a corpse, she says pointedly.
I want to examine the door to the engine room.
So the engine room's door is steel. It's quite big, but you apparently know from the reports that it's openable. One person can easily just, it's one of those ones with like a sort of pressure valve that you sort of twist open and then it swings open and you'd be in the engine room. Felicia's sort of made her way down. She's keeping an eye on Franklin. Franklin is not having a good time. The entire time you've been coming down the stairway, he's sort of just been muttering to himself constantly. It's very hard to understand him now. But you've noticed this, Caitlin. There's a conversation going on almost. It's difficult to tell, but you are familiar with this sort of behaviour. It's almost like you're hearing two quite distinct voices. The sort of murmuring sound you notice sounds very, very strained, and then that fuck shit type of voice. Now you're hearing them back to back. It sounds very different.
I have sort of shifted the camera towards him, as Joshua is not entirely wrong. He's just not spotted. Well, not caught me, but she does indeed have her iPad clenched in her hands in a protective stance, looking slightly awkward and out of place, and just making sure that wherever the light focuses, the camera is rolling. And she's going to very quietly step up, not like next to Franklin, but closer, so she can hear what is being said between Franklin and Franklin.
Why the fuck are we even fucking here? What the fuck did they... You're not supposed to... Wasn't supposed to be like... Mum won't be happy. Mum won't be happy. She'll not be happy. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, she said you need to be clean. You need to be clean. You need to... He fucking said... What did he fucking say? You need to take it away. You need to bring the offering, the altar. Take out the heart. She'll go. She'll be gone. Mum will find us. She won't find us. She'll find you. She won't find me. And he sort of opens his eyes to look at you, noticing it. And it's just like, get me the fuck out of here. They're gonna fucking kill me. This woman is gonna fucking kill me. You're a doctor. You're supposed to help people. Why do you kill people, doctor?
Franklin, I mean you no harm whatsoever.
That's what you said to them. And he looks at you very lucidly for a moment then.
Franklin, it's difficult being back here, isn't it? You worked here. Do you remember?
I worked on boats. I worked on plenty of boats.
You did indeed. You're good with your hands. And you worked good honest jobs, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, hard-working man. I've worked all my life. Some of the anger's kind of left him. He's now sounding more tired, more...
It was a lot of hard work, wasn't it? To make sure that you were able to keep food on the table for yourself, so that you could live your life the way you wanted to live your life.
I want to live my life the way I want to live my life, and then people like you try and take it away. People, Doc Cops, Shrinks, Mother, try and take it away from me. I earned it. I earned it, you hear? I earned my life. Don't I deserve a life?
Of course you do. And you say your mother tried to take it away from you.
What? I didn't say that.
Franklin, your mother. I understand that you and her had a difficult relationship. Is that fair to say?
She was a bitch. That's what you want to know. Glad she's dead.
A bitch? She pauses for a moment and opens, lets one handle of her handbag slip off her shoulder, and she reaches down, not having to take her hands off the iPad, and reaches down with her free hand and pulls out a small brown file. It's a simple card sort of file, unmarked entirely. It looks like it's come straight out of a filing cabinet, and she shrugs the handbag back onto her shoulder properly, and using just her thumb from her hand that's clutching the iPad, she lets the file open up in her hand, and she will make sure she's out of arm's reach of him, and make sure that the guard is standing right beside Franklin, and she will slowly turn, and she doesn't hide this from Joshua or Felicia, but she turns this towards Franklin, and there is a picture, a very old picture, a very bad picture, of an unsmiling woman, a young girl, and a young man who Franklin will recognise because they bear a very striking resemblance, as he is shown a picture of his mother, his sister, and himself. And the decoration of the room in the picture will be in recent memory for everyone present, because we were just in one of the rooms this was taken.
Franklin is very upset. He spits at you and tries to swipe at the picture and says, "Get that fucking thing away from me! Don't make me remember! If you remember! Oh, if you remember!" Mr. Katz, you detect the smell of old cigarettes and wine wafting somewhere from the corridor. You smell it so badly that you turn your head a little. No one else is paying this any mind, by the way.
Is this in the engine room or before we get there, like a corridor leading to the engine room?
You're not sure. It's everywhere. It's the engine room. It's coming from the corridor. You can't tell how you didn't notice it before. It's super strong, this odor. You literally are breathing it in. It's a very familiar smell to you.
While this is happening with Caitlin, I step into the engine room, making a pretense of looking at the door, knowing that the door had been locked, but I'm really trying to... that Franklin had locked himself in the engine room, to sort of, as though I'm putting together, how the events went down, reenact, how to best have Franklin relive this. But in actuality, I am following my nose towards that echo of a memory of these smells.
You ease open the door to the engine room. It makes a little bit of a creak sound, but again, everyone seems very focused on Mr. Mills. Felicia gives you a look, but as you said, you kind of give off the air that you're investigating something, and she seems fine with it. She, again, is all very focused on Mills. Adrian, of course, is no longer here. He's upstairs somewhere, and Mr. Uninterested is uninterested. As you look about the engine room, you shine about your torchlight, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And It's quite a large area, actually. The entire space is a distorted landscape of rusted machinery, twisted pipes and long shadows. Everything drips with moisture, and the floor is covered with knee-deep, oily water. It reflects your flashlight. It's light, like a glassy surface. It's only disturbed by the incessant leaking from the ceiling. You see another flight of steps leading to some walkways in the engine room. And you can't help but notice this water looks identical to the water at the house.
I'm assuming, like most bilges in bottoms of ships, you basically sort of have a catwalk, so the water is sort of underneath the catwalk, so you're not like in knee-deep water, but the water is basically just inches below the catwalk you're walking on, or would I have to walk knee-deep in the sludge to walk into the engine room?
It is beneath the catwalk. There's lots of spaces, which you could enter and hopefully normally wouldn't be full of so much water, but obviously the ship is in bad repair. And of course, you notice the barrel, an old oil barrel sitting in the middle of the area. You know what happened there. The crime reports detail it quite specifically.
Yeah, I wander towards the barrel across the catwalk, sort of almost this constant sweep, and in a large space, you just sort of have this column of light that you have when you've just got a single torch. His eyes keep to be drawn to the water, but as he makes this sort of 180-degree arc, never fails to hit upon the barrel every sweep, and he continues forward, still following the smell of those Virginia Slims as well.
Caitlin, you just look from the corner of your eye. Obviously you are very, very focused, but you do notice Mr. Cat seems to have wandered off into the engine room, but you assume he's doing something. Meanwhile, you continue your interview.
You always remembering things, aren't you? You remember no matter how badly you may try to forget. You remember so specifically that all the details can be replicated, not only in your head, but in your actions. Was it difficult when they didn't have a child? A girl of the right age?
It didn't matter. It just needed to be similar to... What the fuck are you getting at? Know what you're talking about? Let's go outside. It's clear. I'll answer all your questions outside. Let's just get out of here. Get the fuck out of...
Is that why you had to call for a playmate? Soraya? Was she the same age as your sister?
Sister... She's coming home from school soon. You've got... Sister won't like these questions. Mum will be angry. She's late.
Well, look at this place. Look how messy it is. Look how dirty it is.
It's messy. Mum won't... And again, and he's just sort of shivering, and again, it's just like that weird down talk he does, and then when he looks back at you, it's like... You think so high and mighty, eh? Hey, is that what you told all of them? Huh? And you get a text message, which is very strange, because you're quite in an area where there should be no signal.
She's going to study him as she looks at the phone in her bag. She's going to click sort of the home button to light up the screen but not unlock it, and just see what the message says without opening it.
This message says, Don't work. You said it would work. It don't. We need to talk. I'm coming over. Dermont. That's what your phone registry has the number as.
She will again pull her handbag back onto her shoulder and not pull the phone out, just locking it in her bag. She looks very seriously at Franklin.
Franklin is staring right at you and smiling very wide. Mr. Katz, you are in the engine room, shining your torchlight around, you suddenly, for a moment, feel very alone. You've only stepped a few steps away from everyone else, but the space is very enclosing. What are you doing?
I'm approaching the barrel, and again, in this sort of weird sweeping motion, it's an arc sort of across the water, this dark water that looks so like a mirror. And then, but drawn towards the barrel. I take quick checks, just almost like moments of remember your training and checking to see that there's no one like in an alcove, but my eyes keep getting drawn back to the mirror, to the water, the mirror, and the barrel.
You look and see a ripple. As you look up to the ripple, you see some weird piping. It looks a bit out of place in an engine room. It looks very messy, very twisted together. And you hear a low sobbing sound coming from that direction. The sound of a child weeping.
I go towards it. I sort of... my heart leaps for a second. And I start following the catwalks. Can I get to where the pipe is from the catwalks, or do I have to get down in the water?
You need to get down in the water. As you go closer, though, you see some movement. You're pretty sure you saw something moving, sort of just behind these pipes. You saw something moving. You definitely saw something moving. Something small.
I sort of look to that space. I go as close as I can on the catwalks, sort of kneeling down, trying to sort of lean out over the water. I don't know if I can reach out to where the pipes are, but just, how to get a better lower center of balance so I can sort of lean out and try to see into the water more and see if I can make out what these pipes are, to try to investigate what is, ascertain what is happening, what's going on here, the sobbing, the pipes, the water movement, to try to put it all together in my mind.
You're thinking there must be something behind the pipes. That's where the movement's coming from. There's something behind them, but in order to see better, you're gonna have to go in the water, and you're gonna have to kind of get behind these pipes. You can still hear that sobbing. It's so close now.
Katz takes a moment. I look around to see if anyone else is here. Join me in the engine room yet? Do I still sort of hear stuff going on out through the engine room door, out in the hallway?
It sounds very muffled, very far away. You're alone here.
Joshua looks around, seeing himself alone in the room. Pulls out his own little mini camera. He takes a moment to straighten his jacket a little bit, maybe pull his tie a little bit off to the side, reaches down into the water a little bit, and actually even puts a little grease smudge across his face. Takes the camera and points it toward himself with the light on and goes, "This is Joshua Katz in the engine room of the crime scene. And I think I found William Bedford," and then turns the camera around and sort of lets it go down, and people see him step down in his pristine suit, getting his woolen tailored coat in the oil and grease, and begin to wade over with the light of the camera on the pipes and begin narrating. "I can hear weeping. I'm hoping that it is William and that I have found him," and starts walking over.
Caitlin Mills is smiling wide at you. He just remarks, "Some doctor you are, eh? Some doctor you are."
Franklin, would you be so kind as to tell me your name? Your full name?
He looks confused. Franklin Mills. A fucking name.
Is that the only name?
Why would I have another name?
Did your mother have a name for you?
Mother have a name for me? How about Brat and Grateful Child? Franklin, naughty boy. Franklin. What do you fucking care?
Franklin, do you want to leave this place?
His eyes widen. Yes. Let's go.
I look around. You didn't tidy up in here very well, did you? Mother would be very annoyed at that.
He starts panicking at that. At this point, you hear a clanging sound. It's coming from a hallway nearby, which is weird because you're pretty sure there wasn't a hallway there earlier, but you've not been paying that much attention. It's a ship. There must have been. Something is clanging down a tunnel. Felicia looks up. What the fuck is that?
I look at Felicia and I glance down at her hip. Perhaps it would be best if the person investigating what that was the one who was harmed. And Caitlin reaches into her bag and her hand very carefully wraps around the pepper spray that she has in her bag.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. And Felicia just sort of takes a few steps forward. And it's exactly at that moment that Franklin gives you a look and bolts straight down a hallway. Which is weird because he's handcuffed, and you suddenly notice he's running. He's no longer... His handcuffs are gone. Or rather, they've been undone somehow. He's running full pelt, and he's scrambling away. Felicia turns and is like, what the fuck? And sort of just looks at you and sort of raises her gun, like, fucking stop! What do you do?
Nothing. Felicia has a gun. Franklin is a murderer and dangerous individual who has killed. She doesn't know the ship. Caitlin just looks at the guard who wasn't paying any attention. What the fuck has the security guard done who was supposed to be escorting him as this has happened?
He actually, for the first time, looks surprised, removes his headphones, goes, fuck, and starts chasing after Franklin, quickly disappearing down this corridor. Felicia suddenly also runs ahead, calling out. Everyone's running off. You were suddenly... What do you do? I mean, in a minute or so, they're going to have left you alone, standing at the engine room. You also notice Mr. Katz has gone.
Caitlin is wearing heels. This is an old ship. There are grated floors. There's 1,000,001 things. There's no way in hell that she can keep up with them. She's not a runner. She's not unhealthy, but she's not an athlete, and she's not trying to chase down perps and all this craziness. And she certainly wouldn't be able to do anything other than potentially spray him with mace if she caught him. And she very much doesn't actually want to be caught or catch him right now. She wants nothing to do with that at all. This is why the police are here. So she's going to turn... Did I see where Joshua went? In any way?
Was it the engine room? It must be the engine room, surely. Clang, clang, clang. That clanging sound's getting closer, Caitlin.
I'm going to head towards the engine room to see if I can find Joshua, because I have gone from being very calm to not very calm, and she slips the mace out of her bag and makes sure sort of the catch is off and is going to step in. Joshua? Mr. Katz? Are you there?
Joshua Katz, you were stepping towards these pipes. You're so sure the boy is right there. What do? You hear nothing, no one is calling you, you are alone, in your moment,
Do I still hear the weeping, or is it, has the weeping stopped from the pipes?
No, the weeping is getting louder. You're getting closer.
I keep following it, narrating sort of as I move forward, sort of a running narrative of the stink of old oil fills this space. It's no wonder the dogs could not find anything here. This is a hellhole. If he's been here for days now, somehow staying alive, I have to find him. I have to bring this boy back into the light from being here, somehow trapped, kept alive, buried, drowned in a box maybe. And he just keeps rattling things off to make exciting narrative, sort of in this his own moment. Very much thinking of, watching the scene through the camera more than watching the scene as it's what's really happening around him. So that weird tunnel vision you get when you watch events through your video camera instead of watching them with your own perception.
And you move forward, the water coming up just to your knees. But you're now behind those pipes. And yes, it's weird. It must be some sort of ventilation system or some tunnels. It doesn't really make sense anymore, but you're too focused on the boy. You can see a boy. There's a boy just crouching near a tunnel, and he looks to you, and he's a young boy. He's the right age. He's wearing his pajamas. It must be William. It must be William. Yes, it is. It's him, and you just see him look up to you. I'm scared. Come get me.
I'm coming. Just stay right there. I'll rescue you. My name is Joshua. I'm here to help you. And does he have to sort of hop up onto this other ventilation tunnel or crouch down to get into it?
Crouch down. You need to crouch down to this weird little tunnel the boy's in, and as you do so, and say that, you see him just sort of disappear around a right corner, like he's just moved somewhere to the right. You can't see him anymore, but, he's just there. You just need to go in a little bit.
Don't run. I'm here to help. I know you're scared, but help is on the way. And he definitely goes in, again, camera in front of him. I just sort of say, the boy's obviously in shock and scared to death. I'm going after him, and duck down into this ventilation system.
And you dive down into the muck and the filth, and you crawl along a little, and you blink. And you're no longer in a tunnel. You're no longer in water, although you are still soaked as if you've been. You're standing in a room. In a living room. The wallpaper is very fresh, with Christian crosses dotted about it. In fact, there's quite a lot of Christian decoration around. You're in a living room. There's a kitchen nearby. Someone's chopping at something. Chop, 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 chop. And seated in a settee is a person. A woman. You know this woman, Joshua Katz. She's currently got a glass in her hand. She always had a glass in her hand, didn't she?
Yes, she always did.
The figure looks up, takes a sip, takes a drag then of her Virginia Slims. Ah, Josh, you come to see Mummy. You come to see Mummy. Come give me a kiss. Come over. Give Mummy a kiss. She coughs up, as she always did.
You know I like being called Joshua, Mother.
Joshy, don't be silly. It's Mummy. Come on, come give me a kiss.
He walks over. I assume my still adult self, covered in this muck and slime. Oil, it's tar. I imagine the tar that's dripping off of my beautiful woolen coat, staining the carpet, is the tar in her lungs, filling them up. The stench of her breath, choking her, rotting her away, her liver becoming hard as stone. But I walk over, the dutiful son, and with a charming smile, give her a kiss on the cheek.
She is very happy. The aroma is almost overpowering. Even worse. Maybe worse than some rotting smell now. Something putrid. She leans back and takes a big glug of her drink. Joshy, darling, such a good boy. So, you have to meet my friend. I've made a lovely friend. She's such a nice darling. She's a mother too, you know. And it's funny because she wants your help. Isn't that funny? She wants Joshy to help, and you're such a big, strong man now. I'm sure you can help. I mean, you helped me, didn't you?
Joshua. My name is Joshua. What have you done, Mother?
What have I done? I've not done anything. I've had a drink with my new friend. So here's the thing. Here's what she says. It's hard to understand. She talks a lot. Chop, chop, chop. Again, something coming from the kitchen. Someone's chopping something. Smells like meatloaf. Yes, someone's cooking meatloaf in the kitchen. Joshy boy. So she says, you and your friends, you're playing where you shouldn't be. And you're all going to be punished for being naughty children. But, I told her how good you are. I told you you're a good boy. Not like her son, not like any of those others. You're going to be fine. But you've got to do something for her, Joshy. Do you understand? You've got to do something.
What does she want, Mother?
She just wants her boy. She just wants her little boy. He's very naughty, apparently. He runs away. She can't quite find him, but you know where he is, and you just need to give him. You got to get him back for her.
Did she say what her boy's name was?
Yes, Frankie. Little Frankie. What a silly name. I wouldn't have called you Frankie. I call you Joshua. That is your name, son. I know you like me, but I prefer to call you Joshy. She takes another swig of wine. The chopping has stopped. So, all you need to do is find her bad boy and punish him. Because she can't do it herself. She needs you to do it. Drowning him or cutting his throat. That would do it. And then you can go, Joshy boy.
Mother. He looks at her very sternly. There's another boy out there. Does she know where he is?
She sort of bats her head a little. And she goes, Of course, Joshy, I'm so naughty. I'm bad too. Oh, don't tell her. She gets very angry. Of course, the boy. I forgot, you're going to take the boy.
Yes, where is he? Where's the boy?
She'll give him to you. All you have to do is give her boy, and she'll give you him, even trade, yes? And she says all you have to do is look after him and be a good daddy, even though you're not a very good daddy, really. But she believes in you.
He goes into lawyer mode. What assurances do I have? That I don't take care of her problem and she not deliver?
Your mum looks a little distressed. Joshy, why are you getting angry with me? I'm just doing as she said. If you want to talk with her, she's just in the kitchen. Chop, chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop.
He looks at his mother and just sort of shakes his head in disdain and heads to the kitchen.
Caitlin, you are in the engine room. This is a very dark and unpleasant place. You call out for Mr. Katz. Mr. Katz is not there. No one's there. You are completely alone, just with your light from your iPad in this rather unsettling engine room. And the weird thing is, you swear you can hear steam coming from somewhere. Engine's on. It's not in this room. It can't be. The engine wouldn't be on, but you can definitely hear something steaming. And behind you now, that clanking is coming closer.
She's going to see if there's somewhere she can hide, because it occurs to her, like in her sane, logical, rational mind, it's probably something like a piece of iron or like a steel bar that is being clanged against a railing as some kind of weapon. And she's expecting to see any second now Franklin come round the corner wielding some kind of bludgeoning implement for her.
You do hear a gunshot go off somewhere. You're not quite sure where. And you find a pipe. There's lots of bits of metal and pipes around here, easy to find a makeshift weapon. And where do you try and hide? There's lots of pipes, lots of nooks and crannies. You'd be very well hidden if you went into the water just a little.
Caitlin is going to just find, like, is there somewhere by the wall, like an alcove, like anywhere behind the pipes without getting into the water?
You know, it's been a while since we rolled some dice. Let's have you observe the situation. Roll plus perception.
It's a 13 again, a 9 and a 4 with no additional bonuses.
One thing you can notice, or one question. Again, it doesn't need to be the questions it lists, by the way, they're just examples, so ask your question and you will see it.
I'd like to be able to spot a hiding place that wouldn't require me getting into the water.
You do. It's just behind some barrels. They're sort of in a corner. It's actually not near the water. You could hide there, lean down, you'd get a good vantage point of the door. And yeah, it seems like a good idea. Do you
Oh,
go?
absolutely. Like, she's, in her mind, she doesn't want to get in the water and splash around and be easy. She'll be slower in the water, she'll be filthy. It'll hamper her movement, her ability to be quiet. She's going to slip behind these barrels and keep the camera aimed at the door and try to keep her breathing steady, but she's got that shuddering sort of draw of breath as she is now very terrified, and she's going to hopefully, she reaches down into her bag and she draws out her phone. She had a text message. She hasn't opened it, which means it's still on the screen. If it's still there?
No.
Does she have any signal?
You have no signal.
Yeah, she's shaking.
You hear the clanging coming closer. You're well hidden. And you see someone starting to come through into the room.
Before that happens, she turns the light off.
And the room is plunged into darkness. Still, someone comes into the room, clanging something against the wall. Your eyes are kind of adjusting a little. It's very hard to see. This room is almost completely dark, but you can kind of just make out some shapes. And there's a man in the room. He's rather muscular, rather tall. He's not Franklin Mills. He's not any of your party. And he sort of stops, and you hear a voice call out. Hey, Doc. We need to talk. Didn't work. You said, think of oblivion. Just think of oblivion. We all go to oblivion. I didn't go to no oblivion, Doc. Where are you? What do you do?
Remain absolutely silent. Does he appear to be injured in any way?
It's very hard to tell in the dark. But you sort of see a shape, and it sort of lurches forward a little. This man's moving very oddly. And even though you can't quite see well in the dark, you can still make out the shape of a human head. And you're pretty sure something is missing from this human head. It's sort of like a hoodie suddenly been pulled down. You hear the sound of fabric, and you see what looks like the silhouette of half a head. But surely, you're just literally the opposite of seeing things. You can't see anything. The shadows are playing tricks on your mind, surely. What do you do?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. I remain entirely hidden and silent and absolutely terrified, like beyond. She's shaking, she almost like having to grip her iPad because her palms are sweaty, and she's sort of moved one of her hands so it's now underneath her iPad so it doesn't slip from her grip because she is really that clammy right now. But she has her mace in her hand, and like angled in the direction she thinks he's in, but he keeps moving through the shadows and vanishing.
And it's at that point you hear a hiss as the engines turn on, which is not possible, of course. But as the engines turn on, the room fills with these weird little areas of fire and steam coming out of vents. And the room is not being completely lit by this, but it's certainly a lot more illuminated all of a sudden. And you look around the engine room, Caitlin, and it's not the engine room. You don't know how you got here, but you're not in the engine room. You're in some... There's like pipes everywhere, twisted geography, grates with fire behind them, and they're all coming to life, hissing and glowing and growling, and you see this man illuminated in a burst of fire for a moment. It's Dermot. You remember good old Dermot? You do. And of course, he's missing half his head. What was it again? A gunshot through the mouth. That's right, he shot himself in the head. He's not seen you, though. But who knows how soon? What do you do?
Realizing that there's no way this is possible, understanding that this is some kind of hallucination or dream or something, she looks at Dermot for a moment, and she steps out of the shadows cautiously. She keeps her iPad trained on him, but she lowers her mace and says, "You, Dermot? You... What happened?"
He turns immediately. He smiles. He tilts his head. "Ah, Doc. There you are. We've been looking for you." You notice there are bodies in the water. There's still water in here. It's no longer underneath a grate, though. It's open. And there's bodies floating. One body is of a scrawny Asian girl, emo and goffin style. She floats to the surface. Her forearms are cut up, and she has a razor blade in her hand. Her eyes open.
Josie.
Josie looks at you. And there's also another man, obese. His face is discolored black and blue, and his neck covered in ligature marks from where he hanged himself. Kyle, of course. And, yes, Sarah too. These bodies are all coming out of the water, Caitlin. They're all smiling, all looking at you, walking forwards. Their joints slightly making weird cracking sounds.
She stands firm and looks to all of them. What happened? What happened to all of you?
Josie speaks, taking her razor blade and toying with it a little. "We did what you told us, Doctor. You said, it's better this way. You said, let go."
No.
"Yeah, that's right." Dermot comes forward.
No.
"That's how you said it to me. You said, I need to let go. I need to... What?
Listen,
you tell me
listen
what you said.
to
What
me.
was the thing you said to me last?"
I asked you all to have faith in me. You all chose this. Not me.
Could you roll to keep it together? That's roll plus willpower.
19.
You feel a cold chill for a moment, and then you kind of just... Well, you tell me, how do you center yourself?
She realizes that there's no way this is possible. She understands. The reason she reacts the way she does is because she understands that she's witnessed hypnosis, she's witnessed regression, she's witnessed mind-altering hallucinogenics, drugs and stuff like that, and she understands that sometimes you say things in these states, but you say things not realizing that you're being observed. So in her mind, she has no idea who's really around her at this particular moment, and she maintains her decorum and says, "You all came to me and I failed you. I'm so sorry. Josie, I know what you went through. I know what you suffered. And I thought we were making progress. I thought that maybe together you've all come back to haunt me. Why? What is it that I've done? Did I not try and grant you some peace?
Josie tilts her head a little. Oh, we're not angry, Doc. We just want you to bleed. Not because we're angry. Because it's fun. Yeah, Dermot comes forward. It's fun down here. Fun in the fire, and, well, she wants to speak to you, though.
Who would like to address me?
He points directly behind you, and you turn round to see that someone is standing right behind you. Mr. Katz.
Joshua leaves his mother behind and walks down the stairs, takes the turn to go down the hallway, and walks into the kitchen, following the sound of the chopping.
And you enter the kitchen, which looks so much better now. Well kept, clean. Very little detail, actually. Not a lot of mess or extra objects. Pretty much a standard kitchen, well kept, well cleaned, designed for cooking. You see the living room. There is no TV in this living room. Of course there's not. TVs are abhorrent in this house. You feel that. And you see a woman. She's tall. Almost impossibly tall. Because you are an adult man, and people aren't tall like that anymore. If you know what I mean, it's the kind of height that you remember for when you were a little boy. How tall adults seemed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And yet you are an adult man, and yet you're feeling this effect. And this woman has her back to you. She's in a nice apron, wearing quite a nice dress, and she's just chopping at something repeatedly. Chop, 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 chop. You can't quite see what it is.
Okay. I take in the situation, and Joshua is trying to make sense of what is happening. But he's a lawyer. He's not a child. And he deposes criminals of all types. He knows how to get information that he needs for cases out of people, out of witnesses. He walks into the kitchen and goes, "Can I help with dinner, Mom?"
Aren't you a good little boy? So much better than my son. So polite. Well, I don't need help with dinner, darling. But there is something you can do for me. Didn't your mother tell you? It's very simple. What's the problem?
Well, you understand. I need something in return. My allowance for doing your task, Mother.
The woman starts to turn. You get this really unsettling feeling in your stomach. The kind of feeling when you were a child and you didn't want to quite look in the dark closet or look under the bed. You're getting that feeling as she turns her head. You really don't want to see what she looks like. You instinctively almost avert your gaze. Could you roll to keep it together?
That's an 11.
Make a note that you've lost one stability.
He's feeling that discomfort of when he doesn't have the answers, when things are out of place in his house, when things are not falling into place as he is losing control. It has always been about control, all the way back to his mother. He knew how to control her. He knew how to manipulate her. He knew how to get rid of her. But this woman, this apparition, he doesn't feel like he has the upper hand. And he knows that he is on dangerous ground.
You do indeed. She stops, not quite facing you. Sweetie, I can offer you something. Actually, you might enjoy it. It's a simple signing of the deal. You have to do something, and I think you'll feel you get something out of it. So how about we say that's your insurance? Otherwise, she starts chopping again. I can always change my mind. We can play a different game then. The ball's in your court, son. And she starts humming a sort of... is it the Lord's Prayer? Some sort of biblical hymn.
So Martha, does she react at all to her name?
You think you see her smiling. But again, she hasn't quite turned her face to you. But yes, she smiles and gives a little nod. Yes, Joshua? You can call me that, if you like.
What did Lisa do wrong?
She was a disobedient little girl. She disobeyed her mother. She was going to betray her, like her son did, and she was punished. Now Franklin needs to be punished as well.
I plan on punishing him, you know. The full extent of the law. He's not escaping.
No, honey. Full extent of the law. Haven't you noticed we're beyond that? I don't care about your laws. I care about him. I want him. And you will give him to me. All you have to do is kill him here. Drown him. Or at least break him in some way. I can't get him yet. I can get you, though.
Can I insight her whether she actually can get me?
Yes, read a person.
That is only a 7.
She turns and faces you. You have to fight back a revulsion to sort of throw up. And the weird thing is, it's not as if you were suddenly greeted with a horrific sight. It's just the face of a woman. But there's something wrong, Joshua. Something under the skin. It's too tight. Something moving, undulating. You can't quite place it. But you step back, and this woman steps forward, and she is towering above you, very much the adult in this situation. She tilts her head. Oh, you think I can't hurt you? No, you see, I can. You've not done any of the things Franklin's done. He's been a very bad boy. That's why I can't get him. You haven't done any of those things, darling. I can punish you. And I will. I'm getting rather impatient, in fact. So let's cut to the chase. She takes a hammer out of her dress and hands you the hammer. What do you do?
I take it. You know, almost instinctively, how when someone hands you something, before I even kind of realize it, I've grabbed it.
Now, go upstairs and do as your mummy tells you. Find Franklin and bring him to justice, and you can go with the boy. You're going to look after him, Joshua. You're going to be a good father, and I'll be a good mother. You understand? William's a good boy. I don't need him anymore, not here. It was supposed to be Franklin, not William, not this little boy. Franklin cheated.
One boy for another, you say?
Indeed.
He looks up and just has one request. Can I find him on camera? With a big smile on his face.
Of course you can, sweetie. Now go upstairs and see Mummy, and get on with it.
I go upstairs.
You go upstairs, and you see your mother She stumbles towards you and smiles. Oh, Joshy, you're a good boy. I knew you'd be a good boy. Okay, I'll get ready. And she moves to the table and puts her head on the table. So, she says that all you need to do to seal the deal and prove it is take the hammer and hit Mummy. It's okay. I know you want to.
Yeah, actually, he probably does it before she even finishes saying it.
Tell me how badly you hammer your mother in.
Oh, until her head... Joshua just pulls back the hammer and literally until her head is jelly, until it is... every thought of her is gone. And she is completely no evidence, just smears and hits her as hard as he can until there is nothing left. The anger, the shame that he has felt towards her just comes pouring out. The smoking, the drinking, the embarrassment, and in rage until nothing's left, until it's jelly.
And you hear a very pleased Christian hymn being sung downstairs as you do this. Caitlin, you turn around and see a very tall woman. She is wearing a nurse's uniform. She's looking down at you. You feel like a child looking up at your elder. This woman is twirling a knife around in her hand. She is also smoking. She looks down at you and offers you a cigarette. What do you do?
Caitlin smokes. She doesn't like to admit that she smokes. She generally only smokes menthols, and only very... she counsels people on addiction and a million and one other things, but she takes a moment to take the cigarette, and her hand is shaking, and just almost without... as Squall said, almost without thinking, that kind of knee-jerk reaction of sort of, I know that this will help. This particular thing will help me get through whatever is going on. And without realising what this could potentially actually mean, she takes the cigarette and... Is it lit?
Yes.
Yeah, she takes it and takes a long, long draw on it.
Now, honey, I know you are like me. You, don't like any of these disobedient little children. That's what they are, isn't it? Naughty little children. Didn't do as you told them. I understand, darling. My own son's exactly the same.
That must be very difficult for you.
No, it will be. Here's the thing. They all want you. They want to hurt you very badly. Maybe it's because of what you did to them. Maybe it's just because it's fun. It is fun, Caitlin. But you're a good girl. I'm willing to offer you something. Would you like to hear what I have to offer? I used to look after people too. You knew that, right? I worked as a nurse.
What is your bargain?
They're going to tear you apart. And then when they're done, I'll put you back together and tear you apart again. It's going to be fun. But if you get my boy and bring him to me and kill him here, drowning would be good. Or maybe just breaking his skull with a hammer. I'll let you go, my darling. You can go home, and you can even take the boy with you. What do you say? Simple deal, isn't it?
I've never killed anybody.
What do you say to these people?
Did I cause any physical harm to any of you? She turns, knowing the answer.
They all breathe in a ragged exultation and just start coming towards you. You notice their expressions are distorting. They no longer look like them. They look like just corpses, and they're grinning, their mouths just sort of purging back, and their limbs, and they're just very slowly coming. But they don't want to rush you, it seems. You've got a good instinct, even now. This woman is holding them back.
I'm going to, whilst this is happening, pinch myself. Does it hurt?
Immensely.
So whatever this is, it's good enough that pain transfers. That's not a welcome experience. She's not a masochist. She turns and looks to the woman, the nurse. What is it that you want out of this?
My boy. I want him. He cheated. You know how he did. I can't. Can't get him, although he's so much closer now. Thank you for bringing him here. That was good of you. I need him. He's mine. The boy is good, but I didn't want the boy. He'll do something else. You will get my son for me. You're a good little girl. You do as you're told by Mummy.
You want him to suffer. Is that right?
Oh my, yes.
There's a pause. Have you ever seen what the inside of an institution looks like? Behind closed doors, when inspectors are far away.
I have. But tell me about it, darling. I like a good story. She has her cigarette and she sort of stubs it out a little, and it almost looks like she's about to stub it out on your shoulder, but she stops.
Caitlin has allowed the cigarette to burn to the point where it's now hurting her fingers, but she is still holding on to the cigarette, more as a comfort thing. It's a solid thing, it's a sensation that she recognises. She's just holding on to it at this point, not actually smoking it, and says, a place where people who are left in our care, they are looked after, whether they want to be looked after or not. A place where we unravel what it is that makes them them. It can take years. It is not a comfortable experience for many.
She drives the cigarette stub into your shoulder.
She cows in fear, holding her shoulder.
I want my boy. I don't want you to go and play with him somewhere else, little girl. I want him here with me. I will choose how he suffers, not you. You have potential. You have done sweet things, but you are still holding back. And in this case, I want him for me now. Make your choice, or I let them have you.
I don't know where he is.
10.
He ran off into the darkness. How would I find him?
8. Simply say yes, and I'll take you to him. I can sense him. He's close. But you need to do the deed, and only you, Caitlin.
You said drown him.
That'll do. Or bludgeon him. Cut his throat. Slice his flesh. Whatever, sweetie. You're a clever little girl. You can work it out. 5. 4.
Yes.
3. She moves away almost instantly, and is gone. And these creatures are gone. You're in a corridor. Joshua Katz is in the corridor. He's sort of just getting up. He has a hammer in his hand. And you all, you Mr. Katz as well, notice a clanging sound to your left, and you see Miss Jenner being bludgeoned to death with a crowbar by Franklin Mills. Franklin looks up. You gotta fucking get me out of here. She's trying to fucking kill me. She's trying to kill me. You can't let her have me. I deserve a life. I deserve a fucking life. What do you two do?
I look down at myself. Am I wet and covered with water
Yes.
and oil?
Yes.
I look at Caitlin. Did you see her?
I look at Joshua and sort of like clenching my hands around, sort of like has her iPad clutched to her chest. I'm going to lower the iPad so I can see the screen, and along the bottom where it's recording, what images can I see in that sort of long reel? Can I see any of the images that I saw?
There's a load of static. The last thing it seemed to record properly was you talking to Mr. Mills about God knows how long ago that was.
Are his shackles on the floor? Is he...
He is totally, they're on his hands still, but they've been broken loose. He's looking at you pipe-holed. He's finished bludgeoning Miss Jenna while you two are looking very storm-struck at what's going on, and he's sort of starting to back away.
I look to Joshua, and I show him the screen for him to look at what I recorded. Does he look?
Oh yeah, I look.
I mace you in the face. I'm so sorry it has to be me. I'm sorry. I can't explain any of this. And I have been threatened.
You, Mr. Katz, roll to avoid harm.
That's only a 7.
Oh dear.
I lean, I pull the, open my arm as if I'm sort of holding a baby, which is sort of my iPad cradled in it, but the can is behind the iPad, and my finger is it's basically where the lock button is, just the nozzle points around the edge, and I turn to show him, and as he looks down, she looks away, closes her eyes, and she sprays sort of erratically, jiggling her hand to make sure, because there's a potential that this will get in her hair, in her face, and everything like that. This is gonna suck for both of them, but mostly you. And as he peers, spray it, and then she's going to just run towards Franklin, getting well out of arm's reach of Joshua as quickly as she can.
He falls backwards. I mean, we're sort of in this corridor. We know we came downstairs, so can I sort of land on the stairs a little bit, sort of trying to clear my eyes?
You do, and you stumble around, and you notice, Mr. Katz, just as you're stumbling around, your hand finds something. Something small. Is it a gun? But at the same time, you can't really check because you are stumbling around with a face full of mace. What do you do?
Well, the biggest thing that he's trying to do, knowing where they were, and falling backwards more than anything, and he came well prepared, knowing where they were coming, points his camera down the hall, assuming the worst, assuming that Caitlin has made a same type of deal and wants to still be the hero and catch what's about to happen on film.
Caitlin, you are rushing towards Mr. Franklin Mills. He is looking at you, slightly confused, and then he brings up his pipe. What do you do?
I hold up my hands, and in all the commotion, she's going to try and slip her iPad away so it doesn't get damaged or dropped. And she still has the can of mace in her hand, but she holds up her hands and says, "Franklin, your mother. What happened? Tell me the truth."
Due to this, he pauses, and I won't make you roll because you've just thrown away the iPad, which happens easily. He raises his pipe. What the fuck do you mean fucking happened? I had it. It was the only way. You had to. The man at the docks. He told me you had to.
There needed to be someone instead of you. Is that right? Another boy.
He clutches his head for a moment. No, you need to. Yes, when she came to get you, and you had to have the heart, and you had to the suffering, because she wants me to suffer. I don't deserve to suffer, but I had to. And then I'd forget. But you made me fucking remember. She's gotta fucking come for me. We gotta get fucking out of it. We gotta get out of it. We need to get out of here now.
I look around. Can I see a way out? As I can hear sort of the agonized pain of Joshua behind me.
If anything, there are now multiple corridors going all over the place. Left, right, up, down. Doesn't really make any sense anymore.
I turn and say, "Get us out of here. I can help you."
Would you roll me a influence other?
17. My rolls are on fire. Look.
He blinks a little. He lowers his pipe, and he goes, "Fuck it, sure, Doc, come on, fuck it." And he sort of starts to move past you, trying to move down a corridor, his back to you.
I'll follow him. Is there any water around? Or
all over the place, leaking out of the ceiling, the walls, and there's fire coming from those engines below. You can hear it from here. Mr. Katz, you're starting to recover. It stings like hell, but you can just about start to see, and you do indeed have a gun in your hand. It must be Felicia's gun. It has to be. You see Miss Caitlin moving away from you, and you see Mr. Mills moving away from you. What do you do?
Do I still have my camera?
Yes.
I stay behind at a distance, trying to quietly follow to see what's about to unfold in front of me. Being careful not to say anything, whereas before I was narrating, because I'm probably going to want to add narration to this later, depending on how this unfolds.
You hear clanging sounds coming from behind you. Something is coming. Multiple things are coming. You can't really see, but you could definitely hear movement and the sounds of water splashing and people running towards you from the opposite direction. Caitlin, you are walking down a corridor with Mr. Franklin Mills. He is in mania, looking around wildly, swinging his pipe at the darkness, constantly muttering, "She's coming, she's fucking coming. She can almost find me, she can almost fucking find me."
Are there any stairs leading down?
There are some stairs down to your left. There's some stairs down to your right. There are some stairs going up to your left. There are stairs going up to your right. There are stairs going everywhere.
Should be expecting us to go up to try and get out. We can go down. Hide in the darkness.
He nods and starts darting down one of the stairs, and you just hear in your ear a whisper, 2, 1.
I kick him down the stairs as hard as I fucking can. Holding on, I'm going to brace against the railing, and I'm going to bring both my feet up, and she is not a fighter, so she is going to fully throw herself, and she's going to come down hard on her, on her shoulder and back, probably hurting herself quite significantly. This is an old ship. It's rusty, there's metal, it's solid, but she commits to it 100%, and she has never lashed out in anger before. Never, not even once, but she does it now, for fear of everything.
Roll plus violence as you engage in this combat.
That is a 6.
You go to do this kick, as you said, with all that effort, and you just flat out miss. You go straight past Franklin Mills. You fall down the stairs. Clang, clang. You tumble. You don't know how long you're tumbling for. The agony is incredible as you just bang your head, bang your legs. Franklin sort of stares at you, bewildered, as you just fall straight past him. And you are now at the bottom of these stairs, looking up at him, completely in a mess, in a lot of pain, and Franklin's above you, and he's very aware of what you just tried to do. He raises his pipe. "You fucking bitch! You're fucking with her! I fucking knew it, you fucking bitch!" And he raises his pipe. Mr. Katz.
Do I see him raising the pipe, and can I, if he, having seen this happen, hopefully pointing the camera in the right direction, can I want to shoot him.
Yes, engage in violence.
14.
You start firing into Franklin Mills, and you hit him dead on, once in the shoulder, once in the chest, and he goes down, and then you just hear a click, 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 as your gun is now out of ammo. But Mr. Mills has fallen to the ground. You did get at least 2 or 3 shots on him. He's not looking good. Caitlin, the looming figure of Mills has suddenly been gunned down, falling into the water. He screams in pain. He drops his pipe. You clamber up. You feel you've maybe twisted your ankle or something. It hurts a lot, but you're alive, and he's down. What do you do?
Is he now below me? Has he, fallen? I imagine, I'm down,
He fell at the top of these stairs.
Oh, okay. I'm going to try limping my way back up. She's, her ankle, she can't feel her foot properly, and she can't put any weight on it, so she's having to hold onto the railing. She's bleeding. She's cut herself. She's, her mind is, there's loads of dumb things going through her mind, she's probably torn her cardigan, that, the blood is probably going to be hard to get out, and underneath all of that is genuine excruciating pain that she can't really wrap her head round at this moment.
Please roll to act under pressure. That's roll plus coolness.
As evidenced by that 16.
Oh, yes. Yes, you bear through the pain and you crawl up. You actually somehow make it all the way up the stairs. Tell us how this happened.
She drags herself, leaving bloody handprints from sort of where she's clutched at the hem of her skirt and there's blood. And she winces, manages to make it to the top of the steps, coughing, bringing up flecks of blood, hopefully just from a busted lip and nothing too serious, but her ribs, she's definitely got cracked ribs, and she looks at the body on the floor, and I guess she looks over the body down the corridor at Joshua Katz.
I'm coming forward now, trying to catch up to Caitlin. Are you okay?
She looks at sort of like the red puffy eyes and the gun, which she knows nothing really about firearms, which you are still carrying a gun. She doesn't know if it's loaded or not, or if you have any extra ammo, but you clearly know how to shoot. And she nods, clutching at her head, and says, what happened?
I look at her, and with a smile, I look back the other way, because you said I heard clanging coming towards us as we were running down the hall. Is there still clanging coming? Is there other people in this ship who are coming this way?
There are multiple figures coming towards you. You do not recognize any of them, but Caitlin, you recognize your patients. Coming down the corridor, their limbs contorting, cracking, their bones moving unnaturally. They are smiling, they are laughing, although the laughter is more like a gurgle, and they are coming. They'll be here very soon. They're going to hurt you all very badly.
Shoot them. Shoot them now.
I have no bullets.
She picks up Franklin's pipe.
Franklin reaches for his pipe. What do you do?
She will tear it out of his hand if need be. If he's been shot in the shoulder, if he protests, she drives one of her kitten heels into his shoulder.
He yells in pain as you wrest the pipe off him. He is indeed very badly injured. You just hear him screaming, "Mummy, punish them, not me. Punish them, not me."
When I look, can I tell that these people are not moving normally who are coming towards us?
Oh god, yes.
Okay. In that case, while he's fighting with fighting for the pipe with Caitlin, I bring the hammer down on his head. I can see, basically just like his mother's was on the coffee table, as he's fallen on the stairs, his head is sort of on one step, his shoulder on the other, and I just start bringing the hammer down on his head again and again and again. And in my mind, as I've pointed my camera away, I'm just saying, on camera. That I find the boy on camera and just...
Caitlin, as you notice he's about to do this and just dive down on Franklin Mill's head, is there anything you try and do? Do you think you have time?
She is going to... You said he'd been shot in the chest.
Yes.
Do I have the pipe?
You can get the pipe, but in the time it takes you to finally arrest it, his head will have been smashed in with that hammer.
I'm going to stamp on his chest where he's been shot with my heel. That's push the heel through where he's been shot.
And you stamp down into Frankie Mill's chest, your boot, your heel even going straight through his chest. He gives an exultation. But it's still an exultation, Caitlin. Just enough for then, Joshua, your hammer to rain down, rain down, rain down, blood, gristle, soaking you both. There's a moment of silence then. Almost a stillness. And you look up, Caitlin, and you see these things. And they smile. and you just hear a little whisper. Oh, my dear girl, I'm afraid Mr. Katz wins. Don't worry, we're gonna have lots of fun. You see these things surge forward, leap into the air. They leap straight over Mr. Katz. They barely pay him any attention. What do you do?
Before they get to me, can I react?
Yes.
Swing my pipe at Mr. Katz. At his head.
'Cause you're Josh.
Let us roll engage in combat for that one.
And am I doing my avoid harm?
Yes. Yes, let's do it, because you can see it coming.
You see, like, a desperation enter her eyes.
What do you got?
12.
Oh, you got me. I only have a 9.
So you swing your pipe, and you clonk Mr. Katz straight in the head. Katz, the last thing you see is Caitlin shoving a pipe into your head, and she gets you solidly. But, of course, Caitlin, you don't really have much more time to do anything else before these beings are upon you, cavorting you down the stairs to the water, and in that water you go. What are your thoughts at this time,
She
Caitlin?
cries out, "Take him instead! Take him! He's... Please!"
And you hear them, all of them whisper, "But we want you, Caitlin. But we're gonna have you." And down you go into the water. Mr. Katz. You blink a few times. Your head is killing you. It's almost like someone just brained you with a pipe. It really hurts. But you still are conscious. You look around, and you're in the rain. You're not quite sure where you are in the rain, but it's raining on you. You blink a few times, and you see cop cars coming. You're outside the boat. You're outside the boat, Katz, and right next to you, hugging tight, is a young boy, William Bedford, holding to you tight. The police are coming. You see Aidan and Lieutenant Pierce, so they're all rushing towards you, and there's sirens and confusion, and then you sort of fade out of consciousness again. Caitlin, you're in a bed. It's not very comfortable. It sort of feels like you've been tucked in too tight. You're in some sort of hospital, which looks a bit strange. You don't know where you are. What do you do?
I check. Am I on, like, a drip or anything? Is there anything pumping into me at the moment?
Nope.
Okay. Am I bandaged in any way, or am I just wearing a hospital gown?
You're wearing your clothing you were wearing moments ago.
Can I move?
No, you're restrained.
I look around for other patients.
There are none. In fact, you then feel a weird sensation of movement, and your hospital bed sort of suddenly is on the wall. You're in a cell. A padded cell.
I call out. Her name is Caitlin de Hammer. I am a psychiatrist. What is the meaning of this?
A little hatch opens in the door leading into this padded cell. You hear a familiar voice now. Well, familiar in the few times you've met her. Oh, darling, don't worry. I'm just having a little fun with you. I'm not going to keep you in a padded cell for all eternity. It's going to be much more fun than that.
Am I dead?
Maybe somewhere in between. That's the funny thing about you. You who live in the illusion. So many of you are already dead. So many of you are more alive than you'll ever know. But enough of this. Shall I let them into play?
Who? Let who in?
Oh, you know. And you hear Josie and Dermot and Kyle all laughing, all chanting your name, banging on the door.
No.
No? Oh, no, little
I
one.
tried to help you.
And you're going to help me, darling. If only you'd been a bit quicker. Still, Don't worry. Franklin's here too. I'm going to go see him now and punish him like a bad boy. I'm going to let them in now.
No, please.
Enjoy.
Please don't. Please.
The door opens, and they start coming closer and closer before they descend upon you, biting, clawing, the razor blade to your eye, that gun shot into your leg, and they just gnaw and bite and tear at your flesh, and funnily enough, you feel that this isn't going to end. You're not going to die, Caitlin. Not for a very, very long time. Mr. Katz, you're in hospital. Being well looked after. You've got the money for it after all. And, how are you doing?
I come to. I look around me. Is there anyone in the room? Is there a nurse? Is there press?
Oh, there are press outside. They're waiting to come in. A nurse is informing them that maybe later you are suffering from severe concussion. You need some time to rest.
Do I have my belongings on me? Are they somewhere in the room?
Yes, you look over. You're pretty sure you see your bag. Everything's there.
I run to the bag and start playing back the end of the video. See if there's anything incriminating or if it just is the hero victoriously bringing the boy.
You are in a lot of pain as you do this, rushing out of your hospital bed. You go through the recordings. It's very distorted. There's a lot of static towards the end, a lot of disconnected images that can't really be seen. Most of the footage you have is of the house. And there's not much on the boat at all, I'm afraid.
He is a bit disappointed, but he's a lawyer. He knows how to spin a story so that all the witnesses agree with the way that he wants to see things, and for them to put together the little bits of evidence here and there to let people draw their own conclusions. That's what he does. Let people make the story they want to hear. And he goes back to his bed, lies down, checks to make sure his hair looks disheveled, but stylishly.
You notice then there's some commotion outside, and someone's getting through the crowd, and the nurse is sort of like, "No, you should be back in bed, you." But a young boy runs into the room. He looks a lot better than you, though. He runs to your side. "You okay, mister? You okay?"
Is it William?
"Yes."
William, you're safe.
Yeah, we're good. You good?"
I think so. What do you remember?
"Oh, it doesn't matter, Joshua. It doesn't matter. It's just remember what we promised, Mummy. You've got to take care of me now, and we could live in a big house."
He looks at William with wide eyes as the fear clutches his heart. And he goes, "Yes. Exactly as Mommy said."
And William smiles, wide, almost manic for a moment. You're a little unsettled, Joshua. He's just a little boy, but why would a little boy unsettle you? Why? And the smile's gone, and he just nods. Yeah, Mummy says you were gonna do what you're told. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so happy. Mummy's gonna come and check. She'll check, but otherwise, I'm looking forward to having a new daddy.
Yes. You, will make sure you grow up as a special little boy.
He smiles wide at that and nods almost knowingly. That's what Mummy says.
Such a good little boy. Joshua does not look nearly as confident as he did before, and he, in fear, does something that he never does. He runs his hand up across his forehead and through his hair, and it's a right mess when he pulls it back down and just stares at little William.
And the nurse leads him away, and the press burst in at this point, full of questions. Questions for the prosecutor Joshua Katz, the hero who saved the boy. The end.
Oh, that was great.
Oh my gosh, guys, that was amazing. We went on far too long. It's 4 a.m, almost.
I'm not going to sleep, I refuse.
That was great, dude. I had an awesome time. I don't know how you're ever going to cut that down, or maybe make it 2 episodes or something. Good luck. You've got a worse fate than we have with Mother.
It may have to be a couple of episodes because that was gold. Well, viewers, we hope you enjoyed tonight's story. We hope you all rest well. Let's have a final goodbye to our lovely guests. Prosecutor Joshua Katz, what did we think?
I had an amazing time. What a wonderful story experience that you wove for us. And as always, it is a great pleasure to work with Josh. These types of things, these heavy narratives. We've done too many things and know too much about each other's styles. If we want to share some stuff later, we can. But I am Tallsquall. You can find me all around the interwebs as Tallsquall. Go to my Twitter site at Tallsquall, and there's links to all the fun stuff I do. And keep an eye out for some of these special one-off podcasts. I'm trying to pick up a few more of those, and what a great experience. Thank you so much for having me on. Hope I get to do it again sometime. You guys, wow. Sleep well, I say quite sarcastically after that one.
And Mr. Josh.
I want it on record that I didn't have a choice, Squall. I didn't have a choice. And I tried not to kill you.
I was sure that I was beating your head in when I was smashing in my mother's.
When you said about literally, and I took the cigarette and we both looked at each other in this Zoom call like, oh, it's over, like, I'm dead, you're gonna cave my head in with a hammer, and then you had the hammer, and I'm like, oh, it's game over, dude, I'm screwed. But yeah, no, it was, that was the most terrifying thing is honestly, it's not all the supernatural stuff, it's how well written that was. That made me uncomfortable, and all the little subtle details and everything like that, I could play that for a lot longer. As we've run on for so long tonight. But yeah, that was phenomenal. My name's Josh, sometimes known as Encounter Joshua, if that confuses you, because Squall was playing Joshua. It's a thing. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Encounter Joshua, and you can also find me and Squall slumming it in the Turncloaks podcast, which you can find at Turncloaks Pod on Twitter, and that's us suffering in a slightly more cooperative fashion, but only slightly.
And guys, of course, I'm Craig Austin, aka Caradeos, of Red Moon Roleplaying. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you both with us today. It was so good. Like, it was like the fact that we ran on so long, it was like, I didn't care. I was like, screw it, we're doing this right. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Viewers, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we shall see you again soon. Until then, next time though, good night and sleep well.
Good night.
Good night.
You have listened to a special episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the adventure Oakwood Heights for KULT Divinity Lost, together with our friends Josh and Tallsquall, who are part of the amazing team over at Encounter Roleplay. Find them on twitch.tv, Encounter Roleplay, YouTube, and their 2 excellent podcasts, Turncloaks, as well as Tomes and Tentacles. KULT Divinity Lost is made by Helmgast. Oakwood Heights was designed by the acclaimed master of horror, Peter Nalo. The music was created by Atrium Carceri and is used with permission from their label, Cryo Chamber. head over to cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more delicious dark ambient. As always, a big thank you to all supporters. If you enjoy the show and want to encourage our work, head over to Patreon and see if you want to support the show there. We hope you enjoyed this special episode and look forward to meeting again. Thank you for listening.